Alright, guys, what's happening? Another episode of We the People here, where the people come for the truth. And right here, I got a little bit of Sean Ryan, right? And our boy Anonymous, right? Check out what Sean Ryan's got to say about the CIA and Hollywood and the psychological warfare that the American people have been placed under. Just check this out. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to take myself off of here, and I'm just going to let you watch and listen to this. And then I'll come back in a little bit and see what you think about it.
That stood out is CIA's involvement in mainstream media and Hollywood. And I think a lot of people have suspected that over the years. You know, you see a lot of comments and a lot of discussions about that. But this makes it even more real because there's very specific examples of how they do that, how they approach, what the conversations are like, why they do it. And like we said in the documentary, this is just scratching the surface. This goes very deep. During the time much of the world was shut down during COVID,
It's just in. A brand new coronavirus.
Dr. Matthew Alford was at his home in the UK when he received a strange delivery to his door.
I think it was literally in lockdown. You know, I was doing nothing in my life, as you can imagine, and I got a letter through the door, and it was from the CIA, and I thought, this is bizarre.
Dr. Alford is an author and lecturer of the University of Bath who specializes in studying the relationship between the entertainment industry and the U.S. military. After opening the envelope, Dr. Alford found himself reading the personal emails of one of the most famous figures in Hollywood.
Why have I got a letter from the CIA? And why am I reading all of Ben Affleck's emails?
Then he remembered, 8 years prior to receiving the letter, he'd filed a Freedom of Information Act request, seeking to find out if the CIA had secretly worked on the 2012 film Argo. In the movie, which was also directed by Ben Affleck, Affleck plays a real-life CIA operative named Tony Mendez. In 1979, Mendez was part of an elaborate plot to evacuate 6 U.S. diplomats from Iran. After the United States Embassy in Tehran was taken over by Iranian Islamists, though 66 members of the embassy staff were taken hostage, 6 managed to evade capture and escape to the homes of the Canadian embassy officers. The CIA needed to figure out a way to get them out of the country while they hid with the Canadian embassy staff. Mendez's plan involved infiltrating the country by posing as Hollywood producers who wanted to film a big-budget movie in Iran.
I got an idea.
They're a Canadian film crew for a science fiction movie.
I fly into Tehran. We all fly out together as a film crew. I need you to help me make a fake movie.
So you want to come to Hollywood and act like a big shot without actually doing anything?
Yeah.
You'll fit right in.
Though the film was a hit and won an Academy Award for Best Picture, some critics were quick to point out the liberties Affleck seemed to take with the story of what actually happened. Many critics noted how the Hollywood film version seemed to inflate the role the CIA played in the rescue. The Canadian magazine Maclean's wrote, "The movie rewrites history at Canada's expense, making Hollywood and the CIA the saga's heroic saviors, while Canadian Ambassador Ken Taylor is demoted to a kindly concierge." In response to the criticism, in later versions of the film, Affleck would change the on-screen postscript text to read,
The involvement of the CIA complemented efforts of the Canadian Embassy to free the 6 held in Tehran. To this day, the story stands as an enduring model of international cooperation between governments.
What Dr. Alford wanted to know is if the CIA itself was involved in Affleck's artistic liberties with the story. Dr. Alford is the author of the book National Security Cinema, the shocking new evidence of government control in Hollywood, and co-produced the documentary Theaters of War. He and his fellow researchers frequently submit Freedom of Information Act requests to learn about the CIA and the military's efforts to influence the movies and TV shows Americans watch. As it turned out, the CIA was very involved in supporting Argo.
And of course, it was that I'd put in a Freedom of Information Act request in 2012 that had taken over 8 years to come through. No one knew that there'd only been actual contact between CIA and producers for that show until this information came through. So there are several of these shows that actually, whether they intended to cover it up or not, basically the information didn't come out that they'd been working on those, that they'd been working closely with the producers.
And, in many cases, the changes that the CIA and military branches were making to major blockbusters and TV shows weren't just minor tweaks to characters for accuracy. What Dr. Alford and his colleagues have uncovered is that in many cases, the military directly oversees key elements of mainstream entertainment. Dr. Alford uncovered that Affleck even visited the CIA headquarters to meet with key figures there in the lead-up to the movie. However, documents Dr. Alford reviewed show that permission to film at the Langley campus was only given after several script reviews by the CIA. Emails between officials at CIA called the film a, quote, good news CIA story. In an interview with The Guardian leading up to the movie, Affleck acknowledged the primary similarity between what his job as a Hollywood director is and what the CIA does: deception.
It's one of the themes of Argo is about storytelling and how powerful it is, from political theater to
Psyops. Perfect place for the CIA to run Psyops on the American people. The Smith-Mont Act. Right? The Smith-Mont Act of 1948 was placed into effect in order for outside entities not to be able to play their information in order not to spread outside propaganda to the American people. No propaganda to the American people. Right? But then the new Smith-Mont Act of 2012 was signed into act by Barack Obama, which enabled propaganda to be able to be used on the interior of the country, on the U.S. citizens. Now, why would the U.S. government allow propaganda to be used on the United States Americans? Well, I'll tell you why. Think back to all the Jack Frost indictments, where it started with President Trump, went over to Senator Grassley, Cruz, what's her name? I can't remember her last name. Blackwell or Black, something like that. But it's a bunch of them that were bugged, basically. Their cell phone information, their location, who they talk to, stuff like that. All that was given up. And Judge Boasberg, nonetheless, the great and honorable Judge Boasberg, well, he's the one who signed the orders. And told AT&T, by the way, do not tell Cruz, because if you do, he intimidates witnesses and destroys evidence. That's not my words. That's Boasberg. Hit that subscribe, like, and share, guys. If you're stuck in there this far, I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Check out the rest of the video. I'll see you at the end.
The way we kind of communicate to our children, to the way that we inspire people, and it's interesting that Hollywood and the clandestine services are both spend most of their time convincing people that something that's not true is in fact true.
He also added this half-joking observation.
I think probably Hollywood is full of CIA agents, and we just don't know it. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to discover that, this was extremely common.
But Affleck was already familiar with what it was like to work with the agency when he collaborated with them on Argo. He'd previously worked with them on the Jack Ryan film, The Sum of All Fears. His former wife, Jennifer Gardner, starred in the TV show Alias, where she played a super spy. The series was supported by the CIA, who worked closely with producers on it. Garner would even be featured in a recruitment video for future spies.
I'm Jennifer Garner. I play a CIA officer on the ABC TV series Alias. In the real world, the CIA serves as our country's first line of defense in the ongoing war against international terrorism. If you're an American citizen and seek a challenging, rewarding career where you can make a difference in the world and here at home, contact the agency.
But what Matthew Alford and his colleagues have discovered is the connections go deeper than most in the public can imagine.
The US military has worked with Hollywood producers for about 110 years or so.
As Dr. Alford explains, the military has long seen value in being able to affect how they are portrayed on screen. We're not all that different. Like we had talked about the Nazi from World War II that they tried, and then the reporter said, that the alarming thing or the scary thing is this guy isn't that much different than the rest of us. It's just 1 degree off. And so you only know what you're being fed. And we're all being fed different things through different algorithms, whatever media channel that we're watching, or mainstream media that we're watching, news that we're watching. I think, for me, what I hope people take out of this is that you're all fed a very particular narrative to tribalize the U.S. And they've done a very good job of that, whether it's social media, news stations, mainstream, whatever that is. And so I think that people that watch this, that pay attention, will start to realize that they're being fed tidbits of different information to trigger emotions and to hate another side of this country who may not think identical to you. But I think we all have a lot more in common than we realize. And I think this is a perfect way to kind of, in a bipartisan way, to dish out the information so that people understand what they're being fed is curated in a very particular manner. Hopefully people can see through some of this stuff and realize that we don't need to hate each other. We just need to talk to each other. And I think that's just something very important.
Hell no. I ain't going in there.